St. George's Church. What a fabulous church in a fabulous spot. We had to drive down a tiny little lane off a little road in Suffolk to find this. And it's set in just glorious Suffolk countryside. I know nothing of this village, nothing of this area. I've got a little track coming up to the church and another ancient graveyard. Over on the other side, the far side of the graveyard, it looks as if we have a sort of a mausoleum, perhaps a private mausoleum, perhaps. Have a look at that. And we look back at the church. There's obviously work going on here. Repair work, I suppose. And it looks beautiful in the sunlight. The shadow of the tower against the roof. It's just lovely. And light coming this way. And the buds here coming out on the spring trees. This building's got a fairly new door and it's brick, so it looks actually Victorian, I would say. What does this say? So whatever this was, it was restored in 1977. And what it was before, I don't know. What it is now, I don't know. But it's locked. Isn't that lovely? It's very quiet here. Because the lane that we've come off is a very quiet lane with not many cars coming down it, and it's in the middle of the Suffolk countryside in the farmland, and this church is even set off of that, so it is extremely quiet here.
In loving memory of Alice Denton, died December the 10th, 1890, aged 8 years.
Oh.
Little girl.
Another sad headstone. A large headstone for an 8-year-old child and grieving parents. You can just imagine the picture here. You can find...
In loving memory of Maria Rose Rumpling, who fell asleep the 5th of October 1925, aged 67 years.
So that's a 1920s gravestone, and it's certainly fallen over a lot in those years. And a kind of mausoleum or something there, that building. A flint work here and a lamp, a cross. It's open to the elements, this, and we can see the wear on the stones at the bottom here on the floor. We come into a very dark larger on the inside than it does on the outside. The first thing that you come across is the font. Lovely columns underneath it. And the cross. It's in front of this lovely stained glass window where the sun's coming through. But it's a heavy colouring and restricting the light coming through. This is an old organ. This one looks late Victorian. And very unusual pipes there that have decorated. And here, in the main part of the church here, we've got a Gothic alcove with a glorious stained glass window. High up. This is very high. You have to look up to see it. A little wooden ceiling above. Large, grand arch. Some memorials on the wall, they're very grand as well. They give an indication that there were some large country houses around here and some wealthy people, wealthy landowners that lived near and used this church. We look down the length of the church and see the large Gothic stained glass window framed by the arch. That's the width of the original church, I suspect, before this extension had been added at some point to the side. We've got pews here that are very nice. They are all carved and enclosed little sections. And they're all matching and they're all complete. Stained glass window at the side, look. A big memorial. We'll have a look at that in a moment. A lot of memorials in this church. Must be some interesting historical connections with people here in the area. We've got red and black and cream stones, tiles, stone steps going up to the pulpit. And this church looks full without any people. One of the most wonderful set of pews that I've seen in any of these churches. They're all uniform and all in lovely condition. Absolutely beautiful. This church must have been full of congregation at some time. And we step up into the altar area where we find a more intricate floor design. I think this has had a lot of money spent on this church over the years. A lot of patronage. The flooring is beautiful. The stained glass windows are impressive. This is a lovely window. More memorials there. Small door to the side. The walls have been painted in this church. You wonder what pictures were underneath these at one time, what paintings have been covered up over the years. There's a lot of light coming in from this side of the church, from these windows which are clear. But on the other side, there's very little. Perhaps it's because of the building work that is going on, but no, that doesn't seem to be so. I think it's just because there's only 2 windows there, and they're stained glass and not giving in that much light. I see in this small chapel area here. Oh, that's a fabulous stained glass window. That's a fabulous, fabulous window. Look at that. All the stonework but I think because of the building work on outside, there's not as much light coming through as there would be normally. Beautiful alcove there and paneling around the side. This is all very Victorian, mid-Victorian I would say. Very heavy dark wood. Another stained glass window to the side. Lovely little chapel. Is an extremely impressive memorial. I've not seen the likes of this in a village church so far.
Thomas Halifax, Squire of Chadacre Hall, who died in 1850 aged 76, and of Anna Maria, his wife, who died in 1841 aged 65, and their eldest son, Thomas Halifax, who died in 1849 aged 49.
What a beautiful, beautiful memorial. It's lovely. Little church. It actually isn't that little. It's very large. You get the feeling that when you leave this church, you're going to walk out into a large village or small town. But when you step out of this porch, you find yourself back into the bright sunlight and the glorious Suffolk countryside. Before we go, we just have a look at the mausoleum at the back, which looks like it's for the family, the Halifax family, who were at Chadacre Hall, according to this. And there's obviously a number of this family that are buried here. And this was obviously a very important family, and hence I think this church, though it's in the middle of Suffolk in a remote part, has such a grand and large feel about it. The trees that would have been planted a couple of 100 years ago. So Suffolk always springs surprises on you. We fell upon this church really, and we're amazed at what we found here. Quite a large church, spoilt a bit by this electricity post, but we're still looking at a scene that hasn't changed much for the last 100 years at least. Wonderful Suffolk.